Hi Christina. Okay, I'm going to show you really quickly kind of what I do to do my base face. So I do use a primer, and I do recommend a primer with any foundation that you use. And so we have a regular Glorious Touch primer, and then we also have a hydrating primer. So if you're a little bit more dry, the hydrating primer is better. If you're kind of normal to oily, then just our regular Glorious Touch primer. And so that's what I do first. So my face is clean, and I'll do about a pea-sized amount of the primer, and I just kind of rub it between my fingers, and then I rub it. What this does is it fills in any pores, any fine lines, and it gets your face ready for the foundation application. And I do this with whatever foundation I'm using. Sometimes I use the liquid foundation, sometimes I use the spray foundation. Those are my two favorites. But I use the primer no matter what. And then usually what I would do is put this on and then maybe go and get dressed in the morning, give it about 5 minutes to soak in, 3 to 5 minutes. But in the sake of time, I'll just go ahead and get started. With a liquid foundation, because it's a mineral, the pigment is gonna settle to the bottom. So every time you use it, what I do is unscrew the bottle, I squeeze out what's in the dropper because you wanna make sure you're drawing up pigmented product, and then I shake it really good. And so I do this every time I go to use the foundation, is I squeeze what's in the dropper out, and then I'll just shake it really good. So then once you have it all shook up, my brush of choice is our Kabuki brush, and it's just a flat topped, dense, really soft brush. And I use this brush for no matter what I use. I'll spray the spray foundation on there if I'm using that. If we have a stick foundation, that I would swipe and do that, and then I use it for my liquid foundation too. If you have a fluffy brush like this type of a brush, you can try to use that as well. But it needs to be something that you can actually drop the foundation on top of, and then I dot it on my face. And so I'll show you. So then I open the bottle, I squeeze up the product that's now all mixed around, and I do I start with about 5 drops of the foundation to start with. I just drop it on the top of my brush, and then I just dot it off on all the areas of my face first, and then I just start buffing. And I buff it under, and that's what I love about this brush, is it's super soft, so I can brush it up underneath my eyes. It gets around my nose and mouth, and so then you just kind of brush it in, and I'm pushing it into my skin as I'm kind of swirling the brush around as well. And then I do my concealer after I do my foundation. So I do that as my second step. So I get this up underneath my eyes, and I kind of go like this so it gets in the little creases around my mouth. And then I go up on my forehead with it. And then what I do after I do the initial 4 or 5 drops, if I have an area that I really need a little bit extra coverage on, you can go back in because it's buildable. And then make sure you take it kind of down your neck too. My chest is always a little bit more red on me. And actually my neck is red right now because I had some hot tea to drink. And then if I want to go in and cover like another little spot, then I can just take another drop or so of it. So maybe 2 more drops. And then I'll go in and kind of what they call stipple it into that area. So I'm just kind of pushing it into the area that I want to cover more on. And I'm not swiping it around as much. I'm actually just kind of pushing the product into my skin. And then if you need to blend, if you can see it, but you can't really on it. So if you just kind of push it into the areas that you want to cover better, then it should cover everything that you want to cover. You can, and like I said, it's buildable. So you're just kind of going back in with a little second layer on those areas that you need to cover. And then once I do that, then I do my concealer afterwards. And so I always have to conceal under my eyes. I just have darkness under my eyes. So I'll put a little bit of the concealer on the back of my hand, and you only need about that much. And so it's kind of a large grain of rice. And then I just we have a little cream shadow brush, and so that's what I use to put it on. But I let it warm up to the temperature because this is more of a paste kind of consistency, the concealer. So I just let it warm up. Now I'm using a couple shades lighter to go under my eye, but if you're using it to conceal on your face, then you would just take it and you can just dot it with your finger. So if you have the same color, you can just dot it on the areas that you want to conceal. But for under your eye, if you want to brighten it, you should go kind of in an upside down triangle with it. And so I kind of just draw it down like this, kind of making just that upside down triangle, because what you're seeing when you have the darkness under your eyes is kind of that shadow, because as we get older, we lose that little fat pad that's right there under our eyes. And so it makes that shadow. So if you go down below that, it'll cover it up. And then what I do is I just take a moistened little blending sponge and I just kind of push it in, and I'll look up when I'm doing this because I don't want it to settle into those fine lines under my eyes. And so if I look up, it kind of stretches the skin, and then I'm able to get that brightness that I like underneath my eyes, covering up that darkness. But if I did this first and then brush the foundation on, then it kind of takes it off. And so that's just my preference, but you can do that however you want. And you can always go back afterwards, like if you feel like it looks too dark, and just kind of stipple that brush that had that foundation on it kind of underneath your eyes. And then what I always do as my very last step of kind of my base face is I have a setting powder, and this is just translucent. There's no color to it, but it'll keep your foundation on all day. And ours has like a little hole in the middle, and I just stick my brush in there, and then I'll tap off the excess, and then I kind of just pat this on my face. Again, I don't do a lot of swiping because the foundation is pretty thin and you don't want to swipe it all away. And then this will set the foundation and keep it from going anywhere. And then I go ahead and just do the rest of my makeup. And then after I do my makeup, I'll probably do another even coat of the setting powder, or you can use like a setting spray. But you don't have to get that complicated with it. I just like to set the foundation if you're wanting it to last all day, because it's going to keep it fresh. And so that's how I do the base face with that. So let me know how it's going. If you're having any concerns, if the color doesn't seem right, we can work on all of that. I want to make sure that you're happy with it. Let me show you really quick the spray foundation too. It has a little bit more coverage, and it comes just in a can. This is my original one that I got, and I've used this for testers and all kinds of things. But you just shake it really good, and then you spray it directly onto your brush like this. Same brush, that kabuki brush, and then you just blend it. And so this one has a bit more coverage to it than the liquid foundation does, but it wasn't included in that bundle sale. So anyway, just something to think about, just another option. So that's the spray foundation. And I think that this one, it just gives a bit more coverage. You can kind of see the difference. This is more of a flat finish coverage, whereas this one is a little bit more of a dewy coverage. And it looks like this isn't the right color because I have lights in the bathroom that are kind of blowing it out just a little bit. But anyway, just let me know, because I think the color you got was chiffon, and that's the same color that I'm using also. So I just wanted to make sure that you're happy with the shade and all of that. And I think the biggest thing with this one is just to shake it, and then you can do that extra little bit if you have areas that you want to cover up. But this is a great foundation. Really, this is probably our most popular foundation because the spray is a little bit newer. So anyway, hope this makes sense. Hope that helps. Just give me a message when you're done watching it and let me know. Okay, thanks, Christina. Bye-bye.